The following podcast contains explicit language and content that may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Qué Spooky podcast, where two funny dudes share paranormal stuff, true crime, and other scary things from around the world. I'm Andrez.
And I'm Kevin.
And I bet you didn't expect me to read the intro, because Kevin's been doing it since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to any new listeners, welcome. And to any of our returning listeners, welcome back.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while now.
Yeah, and I feel like, we've been doing this for about 5 years, and I feel like even still, like, sometimes I get not nervous, but it's like kind of walking into a party late where I'm just like, hey,
Yeah.
what's up?
Well, we forget that we have to acknowledge all our new listeners because we're constantly growing.
Yeah.
And so, like, some people kind of just jump in and they go with it. And then they're like, oh, so there's a palate cleanser at the end and then this and this. And then it's like, oh, we kind of should explain every once in a while.
Yeah, like every so often.
So go ahead, take it away.
So the first like 10 or 15 minutes of the episode, we like to just like kind of catch up, give quick life updates, see how we're doing, and then but that's before we get into the case. Then after the case, especially after talking about something like either really scary or like heavy topics, we like to provide finish off the episode with a palate cleanser, and that's usually like any topics that we find funny throughout the week. We just kind of write them down and say like, hey, we're gonna talk about that. It's usually not anything serious, or we try not to make the topics at the end serious. It's kind of like watching a cartoon after watching like a scary movie.
Yeah.
Like you kind of want to like de-stress, de-escalate.
Calm down, get your heart rate down.
Yeah.
It's like watching the Doodle Bops after a really scary episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Exactly.
At least for me when I was a kid.
True.
Am I showing my age by admitting what I used to watch? The world will never know.
But back in my day, we used to watch Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Hell yeah.
And now looking back at it, it's like, whoa.
Those episodes were scary as
Yeah, they were kind of crazy.
I remember that chicken episode, that first, they always did the shorts. So Powerpuff Girls was a short, Courage the Cowardly Dog was a short, and they would show the shorts, and then they would see what the reaction was, and then they would come out with the full, the full show. That was basically like the pilot. I remember watching the short late at night, and it was about chickens, the space chickens, and that episode scared the shit out of me as a kid because those chickens were mean.
I remember what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something about eating the eggs and then getting spots on yourself. Like, I barely remember, but I remember being very afraid. That and of the episode with the mattress that Muriel gets possessed.
Oh yeah, that one was good.
It's like, oh my God.
And then the two little rats come and pick it up afterwards.
Yeah. Or the Return the Slab guy. There's some great hits. There's some great hits in that show. And it kind of like, I feel like that's kind of what got me into the paranormal stuff.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
We were in this before we even knew it.
Yeah, it was that show. And then you never watched So Weird, but I did.
No.
Back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So Weird was on Disney. And so that was pretty good too.
Did you ever watch Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That one too.
My sister and my cousin my sister Carla and my cousin Claudia used to love that show. But I don't remember ever watching it.
That show was scary.
I don't ever remember it existed. Like looking at like the trailer, like the intro of it, I'm like, I don't recall this. I'm from a different timeline. We didn't have that.
Hell no. There was this one. Okay, and I'm saying this from memory, but I think the one episode or the two episodes that scared the shit out of me was number one, the shadow episode, where the kids start seeing shadow versions of people,
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it comes out like that the end of the world happens. And at the very end of the episode, they're like, so what's going to happen next? And they're like, the world is ending. And then it goes completely dark. And that was the end of the episode. The fucking existential crisis I went through after that fucking episode was crazy.
Hmm.
And then the one I remember after that is these kids that would prank phone call people. And the prank phone call police came to get them. And when they put them in jail, they escaped, but they didn't exist. Nobody remembered them. It's like they would get arrested and they would erase people's memories so they would forget about you. Crazy
Wow.
episode.
Maybe we should find them. We should find them and watch them.
Yes. Those like specifically, like they're very geared towards children and what kids think is scary. And so those to me were so fucking scary. Along with obviously like the classic Goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
Classic Goosebump shows, fucking good. So good.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with the new ones. We just haven't watched them as much.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I did want to kind of, sorry, next topic of,
yeah, we're
this is our second time recording this. Anyway, so the weather's been getting nicer, kind of cool in the morning, warm in the afternoon, cool again at night. But we took advantage of the nice weather and we went to a little hike with Energia Collective. So thank you to A Priori for organizing it. It was just a little hike around Lake Catherine and in the south of Chicago, at a little park. So we met a lot of fun people, and it was so fun. It was like it was like a Mother's Day themed hike. So we were supposed to invite our moms.
Yeah.
But I knew my mom would not wake up on time, and it kind of worked out because she was supposed to get ready for a party like as soon as we got home. So I'm like, nah, she would have said no.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't have made it to her party. And my mom doesn't live here, so I didn't invite her.
Yeah, but we made cute little cards.
We did the little hike, and then we did the cute little cards.
Yeah.
And so it was super interesting because we were just talking about like paranormal stuff and like kind of just our experiences. And then we gave thanks to the earth. And at the very end, we talked about like what we wanted to do to kind of like change the world or like kind of like our local community, I guess.
It was like how do you contribute to your the local environment?
Right. And so it was just very interesting, very different from what we've done.
Yeah.
And also great for meeting people. So we met A Priori, Jasmine, and Suli. There we go.
I think one of the questions they asked us is like, why did you guys decide to come out? And I honestly don't remember how I answered, but I guess my answer now is that like I've been looking for like something to like contribute. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like something to kind of do and to connect, because it is like primarily like Hispanic or Latino focused. Although everyone is welcome, but it is like it's an environmental social justice nonprofit organization. So it was fun. The hike was really fun. And I know that they're organizing more, and we'll be in attendance. I know in the past they've organized like events to help clean parts of the river, and I'm like, I would be so down to do stuff like that. So I guess I've been looking for stuff like that to do. Yeah. Especially around the city. So.
And it directly affects the community around you. So it's like you're seeing the difference that you want to make.
That's how we build community.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that A Priori's mom said that like, okay, she's a queen, love her Bob. She was awesome. But like one thing that really stuck out to me that she said at the very end, she was saying that like we Mexicans are taught to tend to plants. We're very connected to the earth because we tend to plants at a very young age. And she was just referencing like helping her grandma's, like her mom or her grandma in the garden and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, yes.
That is true,
Like from a very young age, we're out there like gardening, like watering plants, kind of like learning how to take care of like the area around you. And so I was like, wow, because the plants that I take to work and I take care of do very well.
Yeah.
And everybody's always asking me like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I literally just water them and spray them with the little water every day, and then I kind of talk to them.
Yeah.
And they do really well. But what if it's like my little Mexican connection to the earth?
I was gonna say like it also helps that supposedly like if you sing or you like talk nicely to plants, supposedly they feel it and they grow better. So I don't know.
It was very interesting.
Maybe that's why mine never grow, because I'm always yelling at them and cussing them out.
Stop. That's so
Just
abusive.
kidding.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
kidding. But yeah, that is true. And I mean, it kind of reminds me of I forgot her name, but she's a content creator from the US, but she moved to Mexico because her husband was Mexican. So she's been living out there. She said in one of her TikToks, she said, one thing I've noticed is living in Mexico is that they're very like eco-friendly without being aware that they're eco-friendly. And the example she gave was that like a lot of, instead of like throwing out plastic, like for example, laundry detergent tanks, like the little, not tanks, what's the word? Laundry detergent gallons, that's a better word. Containers, thank you.
Bottles.
Yes, I didn't forgot those words.
Sorry,
but yeah,
I just got the synonym book out.
Oh, you're at the stores?
Wait, is it?
It's at the store.
Oh shit.
Anyway, sorry. So one thing she noticed is like instead of throwing out big plastic gallons like that, is that they repurpose them. So they cut them in half and they reuse them for like planters.
I've seen them being reused as like a watering canteen. They put holes in them.
Oh yeah. That's what I meant. Sorry, like the plant vase. I'm forgetting words. Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean, everyone kind of sees it when you buy like a little traste de mole. In a week, you're using that as a drinking cup.
Yeah.
So.
Or a candle.
That's true.
The candle in the glass.
Oh, I hate when because if you use up a candle, I don't think you should use it as a drinking cup because it leaves that wax. Anyway,
you're supposed to wash it with really hot water to get it off. And they're supposed to be really good because they're heat resistant.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, write that down.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. So like this is going to be kind of jarring. I forgot to do it in the last episode, but I wanted to mention we still have those links up on our Instagram, Qué Spooky Podcast. You go on there in our bio, we have all my links, and we actually have some resources for ICE. It's ¿Cuáles son tus derechos? In Spanish, and then Know Your Rights in English, and that kind of just talks about like what to do if ICE shows up where you are. There's two after that, the National Immigrant Justice Center and the Immigrant Legal Resource, and those are places that you can actually give your money to help undocumented people. The Support Palestine links are always going to stay up. We're always supporting Palestine. That's not changing. But yeah, we just kind of forgot to mention it last episode, but we wanted to make sure that we mentioned it this episode.
Yep.
What else has been going on? We're getting kind of close to the 15-minute mark, but...
I mean, we can jump into your case now.
Well, I wanted to talk about my cousin coming to visit, Ivanice.
Oh, yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
Ivanice.
Hi.
We don't know if you listen to us. I'm sure that she had enough of us yapping the whole time she was here. But we had a really good time. It was only a few days, and so I felt like it was too short, but it definitely made me so homesick for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very happy that she came to visit me. And like, my mom's family's here, and I love them, but... It's like...
You didn't grow up with them.
Yeah. Sometimes I miss my family from Oklahoma, and I miss my parents. Since I saw them in Mexico, I feel like I miss them more now. We definitely have to go back and visit.
Yeah, Oklahoma's been... Yeah, it'd be good.
They've been on the come up. They've been mentioned a lot because of the
OKC
Thunder.
Thunder. They won the Western Conference.
Thunder up.
Okay. Are you a Thunder fan?
That's all I know.
I was literally wearing a Chicago Bulls hoodie earlier today.
Yeah. I know a lot of people love that and make a big deal out of that, so I just want to be supportive to that.
Yeah, we're not like, if you like sports, we're not going to be like, ew. Like, especially with sports, there's always like a hometown pride connection of it. I mean, I'm born in Chicago, but I know that the Chicago Bears don't do well. I'm still going to support them. Like, that's my city.
Also, I want to mention that, like, watching them on TV and actually being there is also different, too.
That's
because
true.
You will never catch me watching sports on TV, but the times that I've been to the baseball game, the couple of basketball games, the soccer game, I was fucking into it. Like, I was in it. I was like, I don't know.
It's a different energy.
I'm like, I don't know who that is and why they're doing that, but I want them. I'm like, go team.
That's how I was when we went to go see the Bulls and they were playing against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
I'm like, the Nuggets?
The Denver Nuggets?
Like the chicken?
The nuggets of gold from the mountains of Colorado. Wow.
I'm like, dude, why are they letting a chicken nugget?
I actually don't know if that's really what the reference is for the nuggets. Yeah, I just made that up.
Are they from Colorado?
Yeah, they are. I know that much.
They're from San Francisco.
Well, because I watched the Nuggets. Actually, Rigo and Brian took me to a Nuggets game a really, really long time ago when I went on vacation to Colorado. So that's why I know.
Oh, your mind. I would not have remembered that. Someone says nugget, I just think chicken form immediately. The chicken form
tender.
of nugget. Chicken tender.
Yep. That's it.
Nobody says nugget and they're like, I don't know. Oh, gold. Oh, the California Rush.
Yeah. Except
anyway.
Not the California Rush. The
California
Colorado
Gold Rush. I don't care.
The Gold Rush. But we don't even know if that's what it is. I just made that up.
We made that up.
It may
and that's why you guys come here.
It may be right on the mark, but I don't know that yet. So we'll look it up after the episode and we'll confirm on the next episode, which is going to be in Spanish.
We don't fact check ourselves.
We don't. We just can say whatever, and then afterwards we fix it. And
we can say whatever we want.
Kevin edits a lot of shit out when he edits because it's like, this was factually incorrect, so we're taking it out.
Sometimes.
And I'm like, wow. Okay, so I think it's time to get into the case. We're over the 15-minute mark. We try to get pretty close. Okay, so my case today is going to be about Chalino Sánchez.
Interesting.
I thought... Interesting.
You weren't telling me what you were covering, but I saw it over your shoulder and I'm like, that's literally on my list and I told you about it.
I feel like I wasn't doing it to be malicious. Like I wasn't like, Kevin's doing it, so I'm going to do it. It was more like, this is at the very top of my brain and I'm going to do it. And then afterwards, when you told me, you're like, that's right, you did mention it. I'm like, I felt so bad. Do you want to go ahead and read my notes?
No, it's fine. But you should have told me because I had sources ready. Like I had sources ready for my case.
Oh, sorry.
Fine.
I really did not remember about what it was. Maybe we should keep a list about what we're about to queue up.
I do.
Do you mark coming up doing this next?
Anyway,
right.
We'll fight. We'll fight off there.
We'll fight off podcast. Anyways, so my information came from an article on Wikipedia about Chalino Sánchez. A YouTube video, final moments of singer before brutally killed by narco by death's door. Chalino Sánchez, good or bad guy, from an article on themedium.com. Death Note, the life and death of Chalino Sánchez. True Narco Corridos, episode 3. Stupid Beyond Belief is the channel. And the epic ballads of Mexico's corridos by medium.com. So I've got quite a bit of information here.
I feel like you kind of gave it away. You gave away what happens.
Okay,
it's
but
fine.
we're gonna.
No, I'm not talking.
A lot of people already know what happened.
Yeah.
But how did we get there? Is the thing, or what led to it? So I want to say trigger warning. There's rape, abuse of children, narcos, torture, death, and obviously murder. Gun violence too. So if you were triggered by any of those things, I would say maybe jump off and join us at the end for the palate cleanser. I feel like we're probably not going to be talking about very important things at the very end, like just our funny stuff. But you can come join us for that and have a laugh with us.
Yeah.
And then join us on the next one.
True.
All right. So you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So I'm going to introduce what happened at the very end, and then we'll work our way back.
Whoa, you're not going to do it chronologically?
So just listen. On May 5th, 1992, Chalino Sánchez took the stage in Culiacán, the capital of his home state, Sinaloa. He was in his element, performing his signature narco corridos in front of a crowd that had come to hear him sing the raw, unfiltered stories that he was already known for. Partway through the show, though, someone in the audience passed him a folded piece of paper. What was written inside chilled him to the bone. The note was reportedly a death threat, a warning. Stop singing or face the consequences. Do you kind of know this part or this much?
Yeah.
All right. So there are videos of him reading this note. You can see it on his face. Chalino looks shaken. He tried to hold it together with the half smile that he kind of had, the kind that somehow made sadness look poetic. He wiped away the sudden sweat collecting on his forehead. But even with the fear in his eyes, he didn't back down. He crushed the note in his hand and kept going. And according to people there who were there that night, he gave the most powerful performance of his life. Later that night, his story takes a much darker turn. As Chalino left the venue with his brothers, he was abducted, just disappeared, and by sunrise on May 16th, a couple of farmers made a gruesome discovery near an irrigation canal just off the highway north of town. It was Chalino Sánchez, blindfolded, wrist marked from being tied, and 2 bullets on the back of his head. He was executed.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
And we don't. Sorry, I don't know if you're gonna get into this, but we don't know about. No, that's not what I meant. Anyway, thank you all for listening.
that was the end.
We don't know where the note is.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what it says.
Mm-hmm.
What you said is just like speculation.
Speculation.
We don't know exactly what word for word was on the note. All we know is the video of him looking at it, reading it, and seeing his reaction change.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I mean, no, I was just going to say I watched some of the clips of the videos, and you can tell that like he reads that note and it like shakes something in him. Like there's some like he was scared and he was trying to seem like he wasn't. So to this day, no one knows for sure who killed him or why. It's still a mystery that kind of haunts the fans and people that are followers of his. To understand why Chalino's music struck such a nerve, though, is you have to kind of go back and look at corridos. The origins of the corrido can be traced back to the Spanish romance ballads brought over in the colonial period. Indigenous cultural forms like the Aztec y Toloca poetry that may have also had an influence to it. The true corridos were generally thought to have emerged during the Mexican War of Independence in the early 19th century as a way to spread news through song. Early corridos told stories celebrating the heroes and events of the Mexican independence movement, like El Corrido de Hidalgo, which was written in the 1800s, about a revolutionary leader, Miguel Hidalgo. Their purpose was propagandistic and arousing fervor for the insurgents' cause. Other early corridos recounted bloody tales of bandits and outlaws that became legendary folk heroes. During the Porfiriato period from 1870s to 1910, corridos were often commissioned by wealthy patrons to laud political leaders or local heroes. They continued to represent the struggles of the working class and peasantry and stories of villainous authorities, unrequited love, and tragic violence. This established the corrido's enduring image as the musical voice of the common people and their oppressors. Long before newspapers or social media, corridos were how the illiterate learned about the world. They honored revolutionaries and folk heroes, especially during times like the Mexican Revolution. And it's like during the video that I watched and kind of like the articles that I was reading, kind of have you think of them as versions of songs of like Yankee Doodle or When Johnny Comes Marching Home, because those are basically corridos in English.
Yeah.
They tell a story. And so it was super interesting. Also, Davy Crockett was mentioned, but all of that kind of changed when Chalino Sánchez interpreted it into his own style. He kind of like came in, and his songs weren't about revolutionaries from 100 years ago. They were about real people living real lives, caught up in drugs, guns, and cartels. It was really raw and not seen before. It was dangerous. In a lot of ways, it was Mexico's answers to rap. As Abel Orozco, the owner of El Parral nightclub in Southgate, California, once put it, Chalino changed everything. His story is one of myth and heartbreak. A young man born into poverty who rose from nothing and became a legend in Mexican music. Super interesting.
I don't listen to corridos. I don't listen to a lot of Mexican music.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I guess the way you would describe it to someone like me is that a corrido is like a ballad, that it tells a story, but it's in a song format.
Right. It was how a lot of messages were conveyed.
Yeah.
Chalino was born Rosalino Sanchez Felix in a tiny ranch called Las Flechas, near the town of Culiacan in Sinaloa. He was the youngest of 8 kids, 7 boys and 1 girl, and they grew up knowing the struggle of poverty firsthand. Because of their situation, school was a luxury they could not afford. Chalino only made it through a few years of elementary school before he and his brothers had to start working to help the family survive. He hated his real name too, Rosalino. He thought it sounded too feminine. He actually preferred to go by the name Marcelino, the name he was given at his baptism, or just by his nickname, Chalino, which is what he was called when he was famous. Growing up, Chalino was a skinny, short kid, but even then there was something striking that was said about him. He had sharp features that gave him a rugged kind of charm that carried into adulthood too. He rarely ever smiled in pictures, and he wasn't much of a talker, but when he did speak, there was a thick, unmistakable accent. The kind that told you exactly where he was from, Mexico's coastal region. Then came 1975. So this is where it gets a little heavy, so I'm just prefacing that right now. Chalino was just 11 years old when everything changed. His only sister Juana, the only girl among all of the brothers, and his favorite sister went to a party. But that night turned into something kind of that they didn't like to talk about. At the party, she ran into a group of lowlifes. One of them was supposedly El Chapo Pérez, a local narco figure and bully who liked to parade around him, calling himself Valiente, or the brave one. But that night, there wasn't anything brave about what they did to that little girl. Perez and his crew took advantage of Juana. They assaulted her. They violated her in ways that an 11-year-old girl should never experience. She ran home in tears, shattered. And just think about that for a second. If Chalino was only 11 at the time, Juana must have been even younger when it happened. So I misspoke. Chalino was the one that was 11. She might have been younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't just an attack on her. That was a trauma that kind of pulled the whole family down. Some years later, there was Rodrigo, a member of Perez's gang, who found himself captured by rivals. They tortured him for days, and in a brutal act of violence, they cut off both of his arms. Somehow, Rodrigo survived. He even got prosthetic arms. Now, you'd think an experience like that would make someone step away from the gang life, that maybe he'd lay low and change his ways, but Rodrigo did the exact opposite. He went right back to Tijuana and went right back to that same lifestyle. His enemies got to him again, not with threats, but with finality. That time they killed him, and after his death, Chalino wrote a corrido in Rodrigo's honor. Strange as it may seem, that's the kind of code they lived by. In 1983, Chalino met Marisela Vallejos. She was an immigrant from Mexicali that worked at the same sewing factory as his aunt. They fell in love and got married the following year, and 1984 was also the year Chalino wrote his first corrido, a tribute to his brother Armando, a song that was said to turn heads at that time. Some of the low-level traffickers and street urchins, I don't know what else to call it, in Southern California and Baja had heard it, and they wanted their own corridos, songs that told their stories, and Chalino agreed. He wrote for them too, and he didn't just make money for it. He accepted gold, watches, collectibles, pistols, whatever may have been valuable to them. Because at this point, he was just starting his career and wasn't really making money.
He didn't think of it as a career. He was
right.
Just more like...
This was kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
This was something he kind of just did for free.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the twist. Chalino never planned on becoming a singer. He had written a bunch of corridos and asked a local norteño band to record them. But when they all went to the studio, Anel Studio on Olympic Avenue in Los Angeles, he realized something. The band didn't know how to sing his songs right. Frustrated, he reportedly said, "Give them to me, I'll sing them myself," so he did. Chalino grabbed the mic and performed the corridos his way, raw, emotional, real. In just 4 hours, he recorded 15 songs, including the one for his brother Armando. So he hired the band so that they could record his songs for him. He didn't want to sing.
Yeah.
He was just writing. But when they started singing the songs, he was like, no, that's not right. And so he was like, you guys can't do it. Play the music and I'll do it myself. And so that's basically what he did.
He's like BB Rexa.
Yeah. Before that day, he didn't know the first thing about recording music. He didn't know how to do pauses, retakes, recordings, nothing. He didn't care about polishing up the audio or fine-tuning anything. He wasn't trying to be a polished artist. All he wanted was to be heard. According to those who knew him, Chalino never saw himself as a singer. His mindset was simple. I wrote this corrido for you, here's your cassette. And that's it.
Okay.
Chalino knew he wasn't the greatest singer out there. He wasn't trying to be. But when it came to delivering the lyrics of a corrido, it said that he did something different. Like he had a grit or a soul, like a voice that hadn't been heard before. It was real. In those early days, he didn't even set out to make a business out of it. He recorded the songs for joy of it, for the storytelling, for the emotion, for all of those, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Selling his tapes wasn't even something on his mind. It might have seemed short-sighted, but he didn't realize how much his music was going to connect with everyone. But maybe that's what made it so powerful in the first place. It was so personal, and that's what drew people in. One by one, people usually coming from from the locals or the streets started commissioning corridos from him. For each one, Chalino would record a tape with 15 songs, customized for that individual. So obviously, these are corridos for people that are in the business. If you catch my drift.
So what year was all this happening?
This was happening in the 70s.
Wow.
70s, 80s.
It was like in the 90s, you always knew people that would like make you like a mixtape.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like actually making the songs for people he knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like a personalized songs. Like he wrote all of these.
Yeah. See,
that's crazy.
I think he was, for somebody that didn't know like a lot about music, purportedly, he was like, he went at it. Like he went at it full force, recording, writing music, and I was just like, he had a drive for it. And so it was just very interesting. So he would record a tape with 15 songs customized for that individual. There was no fancy covers, no titles, just the songs straight onto their cassette, and he'd give it to them like a gift, just their story, their moment. But something started to happen. By the time Chalino returned for his third recording session, 6 months later, word had spread. His clients weren't just listening to the cassettes themselves. They were asking for extra copies to share with their friends. The demand was growing. That's when Anel Parra, the studio owner, had an idea. Why not start producing the tapes in bulk directly from a cassette factory? And just like that, Chalino tapped into something much bigger and that he'd ever imagined. His music, those raw, unslick corridos, started resonating with people far and wide. They wanted their stories told in his voice. It wasn't an overnight success either. It was kind of slow, a grind. Remember that his first studio session was actually in 1986 or maybe 87. So he started writing music in the 70s, but he didn't actually start recording until the mid 80s, right? And it would take several years before he started drawing large crowds. But the thing that kept people coming back wasn't the polish. It was the way he delivered a corrido, the raw emotion, that honesty, and it was that edge. That's what kept people coming back. Then came the summer of 1989, a turning point. That's when Chalino crossed paths with Los Amables del Norte, the band that would become his regular backup on stage and in the studio. Around that same time, fate brought him to someone else, someone who would completely shift the course of his career, Pedro Rivera. Rivera was thought of as a visionary, an entrepreneur who in the mid-80s had launched Cintas Acuario, a small recording label with studios out in Long Beach. Back then, the major labels that dominated LA's Mexican music scene, like CBS, EMI, Latin, Musart, and RCA, controlled everything. If you were an up-and-coming artist, you wanted to be recording with their labels, but they didn't pay attention to people like Chalino. They didn't want people that were singing corridos. So it was kind of like hard to get your foot in the door at those times.
Well, was it because of his association with?
Well, remember when I mentioned that corridos were the songs of the common people?
Okay.
They didn't think the common people had, and I think I mentioned it later in my notes, that they didn't want the common people's, they didn't think they had anything to say.
Yeah.
So it's like that's
people don't want to hear about some dude out there. They want to hear about rich and famous people. So,
and obviously like those giant labels were super expensive. Imagine spending your own money to record your album, then walking into a label's office only to be told that you need to come up with $10,000 more just to release it under their name. Like, wow. It cost a lot of money. Pedro Rivera saw a broken system and he decided to do things differently. His idea was give independent artists a real shot. He would buy the recordings, help them get distributed, and let the public decide. No outrageous fees, no middlemen, just the music. Cintas Acuario became a lifeline, one of the first true independent labels pushing Mexican music from the fringes of LA's mainstream into the hands of the people. What Rivera did was simple. We gave opportunities to people who had none, he once said. We started recording new artists and people loved it because there was nothing else like it. Of course, small indie labels like Acuario couldn't compete with the guys in terms of radio play, advertisement budgets, or slick distribution deals. So they got creative. They found other ways to reach listeners. Tapes started showing up in car washes, bakeries, butcher shops, and most importantly, swap meets. Swap meets were very important to the Latin community back then in the 80s, 90s, and still even now.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to break into the Mexican music industry in LA in the late 80s and early 90s, swap meets were everything, like I just said. They were the great equalizers. No gatekeepers, no radio politics, just music straight to the people. No wonder Chalino's voice, unfiltered and unmistakable, was the one they wanted to hear. This small label, Cintas Aquario, turned out to be the perfect match for Chalino. Over time, it became clear he was the industry's worst nightmare because he broke the status quo.
Wow.
Yes. So he did a lot in his short amount of years. By traditional standards, his voice was, well, different. It didn't fit the mold that people were used to. Even Chalino himself would joke, I don't sing, I bark. His voice was coarse, rough, plaintive, but it was also real. The raw voice of an immigrant shaped by the dusty ranchos and hard living. And that was exactly the kind of sound Mexican music establishments didn't want anything to do with. At the time, Mexican pop was chasing polish, slick production, glossy vocals, songs that carefully distanced themselves from the gritty realities of smuggling, real life, undocumentedness, street struggles, you name it. Like they wanted people to, they kind of had this idea, like the American dream. We come here to make money and be rich.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear about the struggle.
It's they wanted to like kind of brush it under the rug, like all these things that they thought wouldn't resonate with like an American audience.
Correct. Or with a Mexican American audience.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Mm-hmm.
As Abel Orozco once put it, producers never believed in the corrido. They didn't believe it could sell. They didn't believe poor people had any real musical feelings worth hearing. Mentioned that earlier.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Chalino wasn't welcome into the mainstream, not by the gatekeepers, not by the big labels, but he didn't wait around for permission either. By 1989, he had quit all of his day jobs, which he had multiple. He launched his own independent label, RR Records, and started pushing his cassettes full time. As demand grew, he stepped up his branding game, adding titles, cover art, even simple packaging. And he started hitting the swap meets where business exploded. He'd drive around in his truck selling tapes out the window to anyone who'd look his way. Word spread super fast, and soon Chalino sound was everywhere in the immigrant Latino communities of Los Angeles. The buzz got so loud it convinced Abel Orozco to book him for a show live at El Parral. That night, the club was so packed to capacity before 8 p.m., the doors had to be shut early to keep people from forcing their way in. And that was just the beginning for Chalino. From that moment on, he was in high demand. Club owners were lining up to book him, but no matter how big the venue was, it seemed like it wasn't big enough. Wherever he performed, crowds swelled beyond control. People smashed windows, broke down doors, did whatever they could just to get inside and hear him sing his corridos, his narco corridos.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Then came January 20th, 1992, a night that kind of would blend music and danger. It happened in Los Arcos, a club in the desert town of Coachella, about 20 miles east of Palm Springs. As usual, the place was jam-packed way before Chalino was supposed to sing. He was on stage when this kind of went down. He was taking song requests from the audience when things took a violent turn. In the crowd was a man named Eduardo Gallegos, a 32-year-old unemployed mechanic from Termal, who, according to eyewitnesses, or what kind of has been told, was under the influence of alcohol and heroin, possibly, allegedly. Gallegos requested the song El Gallo de Sinaloa. Without warning, though, Gallegos jumped on stage and pulled out a .25 caliber pistol and fired 4 shots directly at Chalino. But Chalino, who was known to carry his own weapons, didn't flinch. He drew his gun and fired back. Then chaos erupted. In the middle of all that madness, someone actually was able to wrestle Gallegos down and shot him in the mouth somehow. With Gallegos disarmed and bleeding, the crowd turned on him and they beat him down and subdued him. When the dust settled, 7 people were injured, including Chalino himself. His close friend, though, Rene Carranza, the accordionist, was hit in the leg. His friends rushed him to the hospital, but the bleeding was too much and he didn't make it.
Wow.
Yeah, this I think was a turning point. It kind of, well, like, I'll keep telling you.
Mm-hmm.
People saw him as valiente, a brave man who stared death in the face and didn't back down. His reputation soared. His cassettes flew off the shelves, and he started getting a lot of airplay on the radio. though the DJ steered clear of his controversial narco corridos and mostly spun the romantic ballads instead. That night in Coachella didn't just leave bullet holes and bruises, it left what a lot of people say a scar on Chalino because he changed a lot from that moment on. From that point, he started becoming very paranoid, fearful, and he started making decisions that didn't make sense. Sanchez, like, kind of to sum up, was shot 4 times and was shot like near his armpit and then actually struck his lung. So he had like a very close run-in with death, and that was like the first time.
So do you think that's what maybe changed it for him, or it's like...
I think it did. Like, because, I mean, what happens? You think that you're kind of like, not that you're untouchable, but you're like at the height of your career, at your peak. You don't think that, not that he was untouchable again. Like, he's not arrogant. Like, I just think that he didn't think that this was something that would happen.
It
Like,
was more like reality hit.
Yes, like he was just up there singing his songs, you know. He's just like, I'm just a musician, I'm just singing. And then it's like he gets shot and he gets shot in the lung.
And do we know like why that guy shot him?
We don't. He actually went to jail for attempted murder, and he was just paroled in 2023.
But never like, it wasn't like a hit on him or anything.
No.
Okay.
Never, not that I can see was it really revealed. It's what people mentioned is that he was on heroin and possibly was drunk, and so that's kind of what
like the substances may have just
substances may have fueled. Have there been other things, other people on podcasts that have speculated, other stories? Absolutely, yeah. Like, people are always going to say that he had hits or whatever it is, but like conclusive, I don't think that there is. Like, we don't actually know.
Okay.
So what was it that was so different, like, that people started noticing? Well, he started selling off his gun collection. He started taking fast cash over long-term royalties. It's like he felt like time was running out. Like, he started acting really strange. Most notably, Chalino made one of the most costly decisions of his career. He sold the rights to all of his songs to the label Muse Art for a one-time payment of 350,000 pesos, which would have been about $115,000 at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. It might have seemed like a good deal back then, but looking back, that decision likely cost his family millions in royalties after his death. As Fernando Gonzalez, an exclusive at Muse Art, once put it, the amount of money he lost was incredible. I think he knew he was going to die soon, and that's what people always talk about when they talk about the case of Chalino Sánchez. Like, after he had that brush with death the first time, they were saying that, like, he changed so much because he felt like death was coming. Like, people say that he kept alluding to it in, like, the interviews that he gave or the conversations that he was having. Even his wife Marisela could sense it. She said she knew the bars and cantinas where he performed were dangerous. He understood the risks. So he did what anyone might do when they feel death closing in. He got his affairs in order. She added, he never expected his records to be this successful or to help us the way they have. He never even saw himself as an artist. He never realized how big he would become. For a while, Chalino tried to lay low. He disappeared from the spotlight, maybe hoping that heat would cool off, but eventually he wanted to perform again. Obviously, that temptation of like performing again in front of people and maybe that money pulled him back in. Then came an offer he really couldn't refuse, a show in Culiacán, the capital of his home state, Sinaloa. His friends begged him not to go. They reminded him he just survived an assassination attempt. Or, I mean, it boiled down to being an assassination attempt, like somebody was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
They warned him that Culiacán wasn't safe anymore, that he'd made too many enemies there singing his narco corridos. But the promoter was offering $220,000 and half had already been paid up front. So Chalino kind of felt obligated. He packed his bags and headed to Culiacán. The city wasn't huge, about 600,000 people, but the people there really loved narco corridos. So it's like, that's what most of the people in the town were doing that day. Mm-hmm. The venue filled with people. Hours before he was actually supposed to sing, that it was already filled up. So when he finally came on, the crowd went wild, cheers, applaud, admiration. Like, he sings for the people, like the common people, the blue collar people. Like, there wasn't an artist like this for them before him, or not really one that's notable.
Yeah.
one that sang their music, one
Literally
that sang
their stories.
yes, their stories. And so he he knew how to draw a crowd. And so this is when it happens. Midway through his set, someone from the crowd handed him a piece of paper, the one I told at the very beginning. It said that it warned him that if he continued to sing, he'd be killed. Chalino, like I said before, looked rattled, visibly shaken, but he didn't stop. He crushed the note and carried on with the show like he always did. He finished his set, said his thanks, and walked off stage.
And I think the crazy part too is that like all this is filmed. Like all of this, like you could find.
Yes, I watched the clip and typed out what was happening. Like,
and you literally could see, you literally could see how he reads it. He like crumbles it up and puts it in like his front pocket, and then literally like smiles and like starts singing another song.
Yep,
that's crazy.
After the concert, Chalino got into a car with two of his brothers, a cousin, and a young woman. They were trying to leave the city after the concert was over. But they didn't make it far. At the traffic circle on the edge of town, they were stopped by a group of armed men in Chevrolet Suburbans. The men claimed to be the police officers, but they weren't. They were actually hitmen, or people think that they were part of the cartel. They searched the car and pulled one of Chalino's brothers out. Thinking fast, Chalino tried to negotiate. He offered them money, tried to talk his way out of it, but they wouldn't budge. So Chalino tried something different. He told the men to let the others go, and that he'd go with them. So he kind of went with them. Then one of the men turned to Chalino and said, "Our boss actually wants to see you." So really, he was left with no choice but for him to go.
And that everyone else was able to leave.
Yeah. And so again, there's different versions of what happened in that car and like when they were stopped. So this is just kind of one that aligned with like my notes. There was another one that kind of talked about how he negotiated like money, negotiated like whatever they wanted, like valuables. And they ended up saying like, well, no, we'll let everybody else go, but you have to come with us. Or like in that version, he didn't offer himself. He wasn't like, oh, I'll go with you, but let everybody else go. Like
So it was the same result.
It's the same result, just the details are different. And I wanted to note that because like in some of these events, like the only people that were there to experience them were the people that were very close to Chalino and Chalino himself. And so like just after many like interviews they've given and things like that, like some of the details have changed or just the way that they were reported changes. So that's also what I want to know when like we kind of do the notes for the podcast, that's also something that we run into. So that happened to be the last time they saw him alive. A few hours later, as the sun rose on May 6, 1992, two farmers walking near an irrigation canal on the highway north of town stumbled upon the body of Chalino Sánchez. The famous Mexican singer was found with a blindfold over his eyes, rope marks digging into his wrists, and two execution-style bullet wounds on the back of his head. A message had been sent. His death was a tragedy, but it also marked the beginning of his legend. And he blew up after this happened. Do you like remember this at all after he passed away?
No,
or were you very
honestly,
little?
I mean, what year did all this you said?
This was in 1992. Oh,
I wasn't even born yet.
You weren't born yet. I was too, but I like remember, or I was one, but I remember even like before being 5, like the amount people would talk about Chalino. Like my parents would play his music in the car. Like they would play his music at parties. And so it's like, it feels strange, like talking about his story and kind of connecting the music to the person. Yeah. Because it's like, I knew who Chalino Sánchez was. I knew who Adan Chalino Sánchez was, his son. And it's like unfortunately, both of them have passed away now. But it's like that weird, like not knowing the backstory of what happened and then kind of like putting that together with like the music that I grew up listening to was very strange. Like kind of like coming to a realization, it's like, shit, this happened to this person whose music I used to listen to.
Yeah.
So
I don't recall ever. I honestly don't. I don't know any of his music. Sorry. That may seem controversial because he is considered like el rey del corrido, which is like the king of corridos. But yeah, I don't think I can name any song by him. that might just be me. I mean, I can ask my parents, like, hey, do you know? They know him.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like even if you don't listen to his music, you know who he is because he was such a big name,
Yeah.
especially like in Mexico, in the LA area. Like he had,
Texas.
yeah.
Like, I mean, all those like Mexico bordering states.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was very popular in, because it's like that's where most immigrants went. Most of like the blue collar workers, the people that were working out in the fields, the underdogs, the people that they didn't think we had like anything emotional to say in music. Like that's where we all were. And
Like
so,
there was like our stories weren't valuable to be put into like a song format,
correct.
I guess.
Yep. So just very interesting. Well, after that, like the people in Culiacan flooded the streets. His music played nonstop for days. Unfortunately, Musart, the people that had bought all the rights to his music, wasted no time. They capitalized on his posthumous fame by releasing new albums, mixing Chalino's vocals with different genres, even producing fake duets with other well-known singers just to make a buck because of his popularity.
Wow. Okay.
Well, and then after Chalino died, it also lit a fire in a generation of imitators. This is where you start seeing a lot of singers that emulated his style, his music. And so this is where like I feel like corridos really, really took off in the early 90s, like after his death. Like he kind of paved the way,
Mm-hmm.
but then his death made like the rise of all the people that came after him like very popular.
Yeah, I feel like he even like the way you were describing like his voice and everything, I feel like it set a bar to what corridos and even narco corridos looks like now. Like listening to the music now, like I feel like you can definitely hear the way that you described his voice. It's like that influence is still present.
Yes, till this day,
Yeah.
there's still singers that sing in that side, and then we have corridos tumbados now,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like the genre has changed. Kind of like the vocal ability of some of these young people like singing this music is different, but some of them like have stuck to that like gruff like style. Like it's still here. Like
Yeah.
that genre that he
And he
paved is
started
still
that.
here. Yeah. In the months that followed, nearly 150 corridos were written and recorded in his honor. The truth of what happened, what the note said, and who did it is still kind of up in the air. But the most compelling theories point to a man allegedly named Gonzalo Araú Payan, better known as El Chalo. He was one of the most feared and powerful contract killer workers for Sinaloa cartel during the 1990s. El Chalo was not just another hitman. He had protection from authorities, political immunity, and friendships with cartel giants like Joaquín El Chapo Guzman and Ismael El Mayo Zambada. In fact, El Mayo had named El Chalo his security chief, giving him the kind of power that allowed him to roam the streets, armed with assault rifles, without a second glance from the police. And so this is who they think kind of did it.
But why would you think like why did they do it?
Well, the exact reason El Chalo was hired to kill Chalino isn't clear, but
Mhm.
I think what happens is that with narco corridos, it makes like this whole sector of people start paying attention to it. Like,
okay, it's drawing too much attention.
yes, like you've got political people from both sides of the country, like from Mexico and the United States, looking at narcos. Like it was basically like, to me, I felt like it was them announcing, it's like, hey, this is happening on the border towns, this is what's happening to our people. Like, just listen to how gruesomely they're being killed, listen to like how much money is being made. And it's like somebody's going to profit off of that, like with it being, be it the war with drugs, be it like people that are corrupt politicians trying to get in a little bit in on it. Like it kind of it throws a wrench into like what they have going on, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah.
that's what makes sense to me.
I guess it makes sense because it's like you're shedding light onto like the underbelly of stuff that like everyone knows is happening, but nobody talks about.
Yeah.
Interesting. I answered
Again?
my own question. Sorry.
Yeah. So for that reason, people think that El Chalo was the one that did it. And super gruesome. And like I said, no real basis for this. But to his friends, he's reportedly told that he was this is where the idea comes from. He's told stories, and other people have told people, and those stories have come to light. But he basically said that he didn't want to just kill him, he wanted to humiliate him. So supposedly he made him kneel, he made him beg, lick his boots, like super gruesome. And he tells a story, and he didn't want to, supposedly he didn't want to do it. Like, it's still like that people perpetuate the story, and like it makes him more of a hero, because supposedly he said, the only people I kneel for are God and my mother. I'll never kneel to you, or I'll never kneel to a pig like you. And then he shot him.
Wow.
So again, like I said, like it's just another like maybe it's another folktale that was added on to like what happened. But it
might have been one of those things where like someone shared something and it like eventually like telephoned further down the line.
Yes. Yeah. And so, and what does that do? It made it sell more. It makes it more, he's more of the hero of the people. Like, see, even in the face of death, he said that to that motherfucker, and he killed him. And he's like, even to his last dying breath, he didn't stand down. Like, that just made him even more of a hero to the regular person. So it's like just a crazy trajectory. Like, just like I understand it. He was like, some people would say that he wasn't a good person. Like, he did things in his life, but like he had a very interesting life, I would say.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Well,
that's crazy.
The sad part is his son Adan Santos Sanchez Vallejo carried on the legacy, following in his father's footsteps. So, and let me pull this up because I didn't put this in my notes. His son Adan Santos Sanchez Vallejo, he was born April 14th, 1984. He followed in his dad's footsteps. Adan quickly gained popularity in the world of regional Mexican music, and on March 20th, 2004, he made history, becoming the youngest artist ever and the first in his genre to sell out the Kodak Theater in Hollywood. He was only 19 years old, but he was described to be just like his dad. He had a charm, he had a voice, and he came from a bloodline. Adan was on a promotional tour through his father's home state of Sinaloa when a 1990 Lincoln Town car he was riding in blew a tire. According to authorities, the driver lost control. The vehicle rolled into a ditch. Adan suffered several internal injuries, and he died at the scene, just 18 days shy of his 20th birthday. 2 generations, 2 artists, and 2 lives lost.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, people kept saying that, like, Adan was just like his dad. He was super popular, but right towards the end, I remember this, he was singing one of his dad's really popular songs, and it's about death, about dying. And he, like, I think that, like, he was singing that song with a lot of fervor, or, like, with a lot of feeling, and people have said that he was signaling to everyone else that he was getting ready to die as well. Like, he started doing a few things of getting, like, his affairs in order and stuff like that, or things that might seem like he was getting his affairs in order before he passed. Yeah. So it was just, like, a very strange situation, a very, like, weird death. And I mean, it happened in 2004. I clearly remember this because I used to listen to his music.
See that? Honestly, I didn't even know he had a son. Sorry. No. I didn't know. I mean, I was alive in 2004.
His career was taking off too. He was going to be the next Chalino Sánchez, and he had that name because of his dad.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy.
I mean, and that's all I got. That's the story.
Sorry, I had Wikipedia up, and it looks like a movie about Sanchez's life starring David Castañeda is currently in production.
All right. Well, I like David Castañeda, so we'll see what happens.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was heavy. Sorry about that.
And we don't know what happened. We don't know why.
Maybe one day something like concrete will come out to like why it happened, but for right now, like, all of this, some of this is a lot of speculation.
Wait, hold on. You forgot to mention this.
What?
The Pedro Rivera who set up Cintas Acuario.
Oh my God, I jumped over that. Yes, I meant to circle back. That's Jenny Rivera's dad. Pedro Rivera is the dad.
He's the father of Lupillo Rivera, Juan Rivera, and Jenny Rivera.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's who came up with it. that's kind of like he like met the right person, because then
Really?
like they left their legacy as well. And so I mean, Jenny's not here anymore either. But I'm sorry, I meant to jump back and talk about it, but completely forgot.
The way you gasped. Too,
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Whoa.
I meant to
No,
go
I
back to
kind of
this.
did too when I saw that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
super interesting. I remember when I would go visit my friend, well, the one time that I visit my friend Alejandra in California, and she was like, oh, this is where, like, I guess the mom had a hair salon or something like that. Like somebody had a hair shop, and we went to go see it. We drove by.
Of the like Rivera family?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
we were in Riverside. I'm pretty sure that they live in Riverside, or they lived in Riverside or Corona.
I don't know. I've never been to California.
Yeah,
Sorry.
It was fun.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, California looks like fun place.
Yeah.
I was gonna just say something. I mentioned earlier that I've never listened to his music, but I feel like this kind of makes me want to like listen to him, because we did talk about how he kind of did set a precedent of like what the genre was gonna look like, and you still hear it even today, 30 years later. So yeah, maybe I'll listen to his music. Are you playing something already?
No, I was actually looking up the song that I was thinking about, and it's actually Nadie es Eterno by Andrez Sánchez.
Okay.
So this is the song that he came out with before he passed. And this was the one that people were like, oh, he was signet. He knew it was time for him to go.
I feel like maybe there was something that stuck with me with my last episode where I covered about cursed films.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioning that there was specifically a song where they talked about death made me think, what if that song was cursed?
People have sang it after and nothing's happened.
Oh, well, never mind.
So
Never mind. Well, thank you
I
for
don't know.
sharing. That was really interesting.
yeah.
I feel like I want to compare him to like other big names in Mexican music history. But the only person I can think of is like that me personally I know is like Selena.
Yeah.
Because he has several names associated with him, called El Compa Chalino, El Pelavacas, El Rey del Corrido, El Ídolo Sinaloense, El Ídolo de Sinaloa. So all of them are like, even within his short time as like an artist, he made a name for himself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. And like, I mean, I mentioned this like off while we were not recording. I tried something different this episode. Kind of tried it the last time I told the story. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know if you guys like it or not. There's like some YouTubers that I really like how they tell their stories. And so I kind of tried that like this episode. But yeah, just let me know. There's always pros and cons to trying something different.
Yeah, hopefully we release an episode with like on camera soon.
Yeah.
We tried doing something with our camera, but
Today, but it just
it zoomed in way too much, so all you saw was our foreheads.
We looked a little busted, so
oh yeah, that too.
Turn it off.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't record I'm ugly.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah,
we're gonna do the palate cleansers.
yes, I have a few things.
I have a few things first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to talk about the podcast pets. So our prima Emily M. from Tulsa shared her doggies. Beanie was rescued off the side of the road, and they took her to a Mexican restaurant and fed her beans, which is why her name is Beanie.
Beanie.
Yes. The brother, Kaizen, is 10, and he's from Houston. So obviously he was Beyonce's neighbor before they adopted him.
Of course.
We also had somebody else. Viridiana submitted Bimbo before, a cat.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time she submitted Rayo, his brother. So he shares the same birthday as Viridiana, and he's super stubborn and can be mean.
Isn't it funny how
him.
like cats have siblings?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's his brother.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny.
Now, the next person that sent us something in was Sonia R., and my heart goes out to her. She sent us Manu and Dino. They were two handsome boys, and they both moved to heaven recently. Manu passed in October 21st of last year, 2024, and Dino passed this year in January 29th, 2025. So Manu loved nature, walking on trails and swimming. Dino loved walking, car rides, kids, and exploring, but was a little more shy than Manu.
Oh.
They're kind of still grieving, and they have dreams about them. So I don't know. I messaged her, and I told her, I was like, I'm sorry that's happening, and I know that it's really hard when you lose a pet. I have nightmares about losing my cats all the time. So in some way, I guess I can like understand, but I fear the day that it actually happens. She says that before they passed, she felt like they let her know that they were going to leave soon. So like maybe it was the dreams. I don't know how to read, so maybe I misinterpreted what she sent, but she was saying that they kind of like let her know that they were going to, maybe it was the dreams that they were letting her know that they were leaving. So
animals are smart.
Sad. They are animals very smart.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, but really thank you for sending those in.
Thank you, Sonia. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce Manu's name. It looks like Manuel, short for Manuel, Manu. So that's what I'm going to go with.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
You don't really see a lot of cats that like children. It's rare.
Is that your palate cleanser?
No, I'm just adding because
these are dogs.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Dogs and children are like peanut butter and jelly.
Literally.
They go together. They're partners in crime. Sorry, and I'm sorry that I didn't mention that. I said there were two handsome boys that recently moved to heaven. I didn't specify that they were dogs, but they are dogs.
Oh, that's okay. So by the time this episode airs, it's going to be the end of May. So the next day, the following day, Annabelle is on tour. Mm-hmm. And she was supposed to be in Chicago June 1st.
I wanted to see her.
But she went missing. Can you believe?
Dude, all the jokes that they were making about her when she went on vacation.
During the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it actually happens this time.
Oh, she's actually lost.
Yeah.
I think the way I found out was Whitney sent me a TikTok.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what?
What if it's just a hoax again that she's lost?
I considered that too, because I'm like,
just like maybe they're not getting enough traffic, and so they want more people to go see them. So.
Oh my God, they're stirring the drama.
Yeah,
it's a possibility, but we'll see what happens on Saturday because she was supposed to be in Chicago, and so many people have been like, "Girl, you need to go to Washington D.C."
We know exactly where you need to go.
But yeah, she's missing, and hopefully they find her.
Maybe those really funny like vacation pics will start popping up on Twitter again, or X.
I've seen a few. I've seen a few on TikTok. But yeah, she's on tour, Chicago, June 1st. Besides that, speaking of Chicago, we have a new pope.
Oh yeah,
I forgot to mention that.
He's from Chicago.
And he's from Chicago.
Yep.
Supposedly people are saying like, oh, he's a Cubs fan. Well, I've seen sources that say he's a Sox fan.
You guys are annoying.
It's
the people that argue about this. You know what? Let me not judge people for liking sports. We said that we don't judge people for liking sports. I think that's just a very strange thing to argue about.
I think it was
what I really want to know is if he likes Home Depot hot dogs. That's the important thing.
I think that was the first recording when we talked about sports. Right? This is like the second time we record this episode, by the way. But yeah, that is a good question. This is the first pope to have a hot dog at Home Depot. This is the first pope to save big money at Menards. This is the first pope.
I wonder if he's had a cake shake at Portillo's.
This is the first pope who had a cake shake at Portillo's.
Are they allowed to do that? Because I swear, when I drink that shake, it's got me thinking things. It's seductive. It's so good. It's sinful.
Sinful.
Are they allowed to have that?
Sinful thoughts?
Yeah. That chocolate cake.
The first pope that you can just dab up.
Quit. Was that it for the pope thing?
Yeah, that's
I don't want to be disrespectful because I got one thing too.
No, I'm not like being disrespectful. It was really exciting hearing about the pope being
I meant like
Chicago.
I didn't want to like end your thing early if you had more things to say.
Besides that, no, I have a few other things, but I can. Okay, go ahead. Your turn.
I'll jump in. We kind of talked about this off the podcast, but I saw a very interesting theory or observation, I guess. It was a woman that posted a TikTok that was talking about her friend was making a big purchase on her phone,
Okay.
like on, I guess, like the website's browser. And she posted that TikTok and was like, do people understand what I mean? Like, that's not something you should buy on your phone. That's like a laptop purchase.
Yeah.
Like, you need the big screen, the big browser. Like, you shouldn't be buying high dollar items on like a small phone and a web browser or like on an app. You need to pull out your laptop and buy it on your laptop. But I feel like apps have made it really easy to purchase very expensive things quickly, like plane tickets.
Yeah.
You can buy a plane ticket way faster, I feel like, through an app than you can getting online and going to the fucking website. Like, I feel like it just takes too long. Or ordering things on apps. Like, if you buy, like, furniture set on IKEA or a TV from Best Buy, like, you can do it straight off the apps now. And it's so much easier because that dedicated app is for that item.
Yeah.
Or for, I guess, like, for that company or whatever it is. I feel like a lot of the fears that people kept talking about was like, am I going to get scammed? And it's like, well, what fucking website did you go to? I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I thought there was some interesting discourse going on in the comments.
I don't think I ever had that train of thought where it's like, oh, I have to use my laptop for this. Like, if anything, I try to avoid using my laptop.
Yeah.
I would sometimes try to take my Korean class on my phone on Zoom, but I'm like, the screen is too little and I need a bigger one.
That's
the only time that I could think of.
I think that's like the line of thinking. The screen is too small.
I need my screen bigger then. That's to see. But if you're just buying something like a plane ticket, girl, that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Maybe I just brought this up to hear myself talk.
That's what it is.
to have people listen to what I think. But you know what? Enough of that. Tell us what you think about the purchase.
Oh yeah, we have to like encourage people to comment down on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Comment down below what you think.
What do you think?
Imagine we
Is this
say
a
that.
big purchase or
we
not?
say that for everything.
Yes.
It's like comment down below what you think.
Yep.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
I got a labubu.
You got a lafufu, not a labubu.
Okay, I got an unofficial labubu from Chinatown because I didn't want to spend $165. And even if you order it online and it gets delivered to the store, they're not going to guarantee that they're going to save you one. You show up and they're gone.
I think that
so I went to Chinatown and I bought one for $20.
I'm pretty sure you were purchasing the whole box with like 8 of them if it was $165.
That's also a possibility, but I didn't care.
Yeah, because they should only be about...
Hold on, I was gonna say that was a big purchase, and I was on my phone. That's why.
Oh, I'm like, they're usually like $25 to $30 at
That's
Pop
still
Mart.
expensive.
It is kind of expensive, but it's not $165 expensive.
Yeah, you got to bust out your laptop for a Labubu purchase.
Oh my god. Oh, and then I saw that you can buy more clothes.
I know there's a whole store in Chinatown where you can buy clothes for them. We're going. Now that I have my son.
Oh my gosh.
Him
and Leo fight. They fight to be a son.
It sounds like Donnie from the Wild Thornberrys and Leo.
Yeah, he's cute.
And he walks at night. I'm just
Stop,
kidding.
bitch.
But it wasn't like an official Labubu. Like, besides, I feel like he's cute enough as it is. Like, people that spend more money on something similar, like, all you're doing is just paying for the label.
Yeah. This one doesn't even have the label spelled right. So
literally everything is misspelled.
You didn't buy it for the label. You bought it for the love.
Period.
Yeah.
It deserves love too. And I'm not spending more money on labels that are spelled correctly. I know what I put my money on.
Yep.
Anyway, last thing, and we can call it a night.
Okay.
Unless you had something?
No.
Okay, I saw this conspiracy theory on YouTube. I should have written down the YouTube channel, but it was supposedly saying that there were so many people claiming that Disney... Well, everyone has kind of heard the conspiracy theory that Disney supposedly, like Walt Disney...
Are we going to get sued?
Allegedly. Damn.
I just have to add that in because I'm like, you're saying it a little too confidently with no other words.
Allegedly, Walt Disney, when he passed away allegedly, he allegedly froze himself, allegedly, and in Disneyland or whatever. But supposedly,
Allegedly.
damn, I feel like I'm like speaking like in rock bottom. Supposedly, that Disney, when they released the story of Frozen, it was a way to hide all those articles. Like if you were to Google Disney Frozen before, you would get like all those articles of like the conspiracy theory. Whereas now, if you Google Disney Frozen, it's gonna give you the movie.
It's gonna give you the.
It's not gonna give you. It's gonna give you Miss Let It Go.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not gonna give you Walt Disney. You know what I mean?
I like how you laughed at that, and I don't think our listeners laughed. They're like, oh.
Sorry, I laugh at my own joke. But yeah, that's a conspiracy theory that I saw was interesting.
Interesting conspiracy theory.
I don't know how to segue away from this.
We can just stop. Yeah.
But comment down below.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Please follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Qué Spooky Podcast. Also email us any story suggestions or your own scary stories at quespookypodcast@gmail.com. Special thanks to Taylor Turner for the artwork, Kyle Fields for the intro music, and Leonardo for the logo redesign. Don't forget to tell someone you love how much they mean to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.